Peace, family, and welcome back to another episode of Sins of the Fathers. I am your host, Ani El I Am, and I welcome you back to this journey of healing and awareness. This is a love journey. This is about growth and becoming our better selves and making sure that we pass that knowledge and experience on to our children or family members that need to be protected and need to be healed. As always, I start by just, putting out some words of affirmation for us, and it's going to be, today these words just came to me, which is witness, observer, patience, guidance, wisdom, love, transparency, vulnerability. So today, I was just thinking about some things, and that moment when you're standing or you're in the kitchen, or maybe let's just say hypothetically, and suddenly you hear yourself say something to your child that makes your whole body just tense up, right? And you realize that what you're about to say is something that you've probably heard your parents say time and time again. It's almost like time stops at that moment. And you have to kind of catch yourself like, oh, what am I about to do, right? So just something, that happened to me recently. I was actually realizing that, I was about to do some of the same things that my parents had did to me, to my son, and something that I learned recently was that, a mother octopus, when she's protecting her eggs, she stops eating completely for months. Just think about that. She stopped eating completely for months. She'll even waste away and give everything to her children, literally sacrificing her own body. So scientists who kind of study this behavior call it the ultimate maternal sacrifice, right? But here's one of the thoughts that really penetrated with me. How many times am I doing the same thing with my trauma? Passing it down piece by piece, sacrificing my child's emotional well-being because I don't know how to break the cycle, or because I haven't figured out how to break the cycle just yet. And so I'm almost sacrificing myself and my child because I'm literally holding on to the negative experiences of my past and giving them out, feeding my child these things over and over again, unaware of how or why I'm doing it or the connection of it being from my past sometimes. But now, I'm becoming a little bit more aware of it. And this brought up a awareness to me that there are two parts of my brain that are active in these moments. So one is kind of reading or watching or listening to my past. They're following these familiar pathways and roadways that I had to travel when I was being parented. Right? And it's like kind of like automaton. It's just happening. I'm not really consciously making these decisions. I'm just putting the words out. I'm just saying it when it happens in the moment. And then there's this other part of me, this watchful, observant part of me, this part that's aware, this part that says, Ani, what are you about to do? And it sees everything, but it doesn't say anything, or it doesn't force me to do anything. It may actually input and mention something in my psyche, but it's not making me do anything but It's awareness of the situation is the key to breaking the cycle. So let me kind of explain it a little bit more, right? And we get down into it. And, you know, I'm sure we've all heard the phrase, like, you know, hurt people, right? But what if that's not really the whole story? What if that's not everything? You know, we know that that's a definite part of it, but what if that's not the whole thing? What if we understood that, you know, hurt people actually have a superpower, so to speak. They actually have an ability in them, you know? It's the ability to witness their own destructive patterns, and they have the ability to break them. What if you understood that you have the power to break old patterns? Right? So this may be the part that, you know, is not always talked about. This moment of recognition, the split second your awareness, your guardian, your watchful self notices you're about to jump into being your parent and say those words to your child, or say those words to your spouse, or say those words to a friend, that's a wake-up call. That's not a failure. That's your ability to be aware and say, hey, pull back, stop for a second. Let me figure this out. You see, let me change this before I do it. You know, like, you know, I've been in the RV for, you know, a couple of weeks. So I had my son with me in the RV, and we were kind of hanging out, and I kind of watched him. He was actually doing something, and I knew it was going to happen, but, you know, I didn't say anything. I just wanted him to move around, and he dropped like the juice. We had some orange juice. He dropped the juice, boom, and the orange juice fell over everywhere. And, you know, it's not a big deal, but I felt myself in that moment as him, because I was about to respond and say, yo, what you doing? Like, why are you, you know, be careful, you know, and I had to remember and be aware that was the same exact thing that was happened to me. The same feeling of, am I, you know, what am I, knucklehead? Like, I can't pick up the juice. Like, my mother yelling at me about spilling or wasting something, and my carelessness about something, right? You don't never take care of anything. You never want to do this. You know, all of these, never do this. You never do that. You know, all of these different things. And immediately I felt that. And I stopped myself in that moment. I literally stopped myself in that moment and said, Ani, do not yell, or do not get angry, or do not even use those familiar words and terms that you normally would. Right? Don't. And what came to me was the awareness. At that particular moment, I was aware. I was aware that I wasn't necessarily parenting my child, my son. I was almost like parenting my younger self. I was talking to me, because that's me. That was me. Not only is he me, but that was me, this young, energetic, vibrant little boy that didn't mean to spill the juice. I didn't mean to waste anything. I didn't mean to be careless, right? It just happened, and I had to catch myself. And I realized I wanted to rewrite the story. I wanted to rewrite the story, not only for him, but for myself. I wanted to create a new narrative and empower him, and then teach myself again that I have this superpower, because I was a hurt child, to heal, to observe, to be aware of these types of moments. So I want to share some things that moments where I say I was able to be a witness and aware of what was happening. So it kind of helped to stop me from repeating some of the patterns of hurt that I experienced, right? Or that I was causing my child to now experience, which is absolutely what I do not want to do, right? I do not want my children to ever feel those things that I had to go through. And I do understand that we can't save them from all struggle and hurt, because hurt and pain sometimes are healthy. But the ones that I can, I'm going to do my best to ensure that they don't have to suffer from that. So one of the first things that I want to mention, it's like, let's call it like a body alarm, a body signal, right? It's when your body knows you're about to repeat some trauma. You're about to repeat something that happens. You feel it in your body before you even say the words. Like, you kind of know. Your body gets tense, your muscles get tight, your throat gets sore, your throat gets a little tight, your hands might get sweaty, or your palms might get a little moist with, whatever that is. That physical sensation is like your first kind of warning sign, like, hey, be aware of what's going on. That's your first physical sensation, right? It's telling you, just take it easy, watch it. We need to be aware of that. So there's another point that I was kind of, as I journaled this out and thought about it in my head, and it's like these phrases that we were, that we have, that were coming to us, right? There were these phrases that we know are the beginning of reprimanding. When we heard these things, we knew we were about to get in trouble. We kind of tensed up and we felt these things. Words like, and these things are like on autopilot. They pop out your mouth. You don't even think about them. You don't even think about the effect that they're going to have on your child. They just come out because this is what you learned. This is what you used to. This is what was said to you. And you say it the same way. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What you doing? Why can't you just get this? You never. When these phrases start to form in your mouth, catch yourself. The best you can. Now, again, I'm not, in any way trying to say that we're going to get it right every time, but it's the practice of awareness. Remember, this is your awareness self. This is not your automaton self. The one that's about to say the phrase is your automatic self speaking. We're trying to work on this observer in you. The duality of who you are, that voice that you hear. You want that one to say, wait. Because when you are about to say this phrase, when you're about to say that, you are carrying the weight of generations. Your awareness, your observer self can almost hear your parents in those moments. It's like an echo from the past, boom, it's coming out you, right? We gotta watch that. And thirdly, it's another one. I'm just trying to, kind of wrote these down. Third one is like, it's like, time is just shifting. Time is just moving. It's like when your child's age, whatever age they are, I think let's just say a child is 13 years old, 14 years old, and you can kind of see yourself as a 13-year-old, and you kind of remember what these things felt like. You remember how helpless you felt. You remember